There has been massive news today in the market and after the bell, and we have some major earnings to cover from some of the largest companies in the world and also the largest company in the world, so stick around. Alright guys, welcome back to the TipRanks channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'm Richard Allen. In this video, we have a lot of news to cover after the bell, like a ton. We're going to cover the major indices, obviously the BTC and the cryptocurrency roller coaster as always, but we're also going to cover massive earnings reports from Apple. They absolutely blew out earnings, and you'll be surprised as how the stock is trading. We're also going to talk about earnings from Alphabet, Microsoft, StarBucks, and others, and then we're going to cover some news from Intel as well. So let's jump right over to tipranks.com. We have the S&P 500 down slightly after hitting record highs recently, down almost 0.5%. Dow Jones was down about 0.25% after hitting all-time highs, and then we have the Nasdaq still near 15,000 points, but down 1% today. All right, Bitcoin. The roller coaster continues. They fell hard from 40,000 really sharply yesterday, and now they are up again 2.75% over the past 24 hours. All right, let's jump over to news from Intel. To reclaim its position in the global chip-making race, Intel has revealed a detailed process and packaging technology roadmap that guides through a series of innovations to power products through 2025 and beyond. The company introduced two breakthrough process technologies, Ribbon FET, Intel's first new transistor architecture, and Power VIA, a backside power delivery method. It also announced a new name structure for its process nodes, expected to be launched over the next 4 years to help customers with a more accurate view of process nodes across the industry. Meanwhile, Intel disclosed that Qualcomm and Amazon will be its first major companies for this new architecture. The CEO of Intel says, "We are leveraging our unparalleled pipeline of innovation to deliver technology advances from the transistor up to the system level. Until the periodic table is exhausted, we will be relentless in our pursuit of Moore's Law and our path to innovate with the magic of silicon." Pretty cool. Please don't exhaust the periodic table of things, Pat. Just don't do it. All right, so Intel ticker symbol INTC was down 2% today, followed by an additional 0.79% down on the day. This comes with a hold rating based on 26 analyst ratings with an average upside of just over 16% for the next 12 months on Intel. All right, let's go over to stocks making the biggest moves after hours. We have Starbucks shares falling 3.2% despite the company reporting fiscal third quarter sales and profit ahead of Wall Street's expectations. The coffee maker notched $1.01 per share and $7.5 billion in revenue as same-store sales rebounded both in the U.S. and overseas. It now expects worldwide same-store sales to rise 20 to 21% this year, compared with the prior range of 18 to 23% rather, for Starbucks there. All right, Mattel. Shares of Mattel climbed more than 3% after the company posted better than expected results for the previous quarter. The toy maker reported earnings of 3 cents per share on revenue of $1.03 billion. Analysts expected a loss of 5 cents per share on revenue of $879 million. We have Mondelez International, the global snack maker, saw its shares dip more than 2% in after-hours trading after it released its latest quarterly results. Mondelez posted per-share earnings of 66%, beating a Refinitiv forecast of 65 cents per share. Mondelez, which owns brands including Oreo and Ritz, saw revenue of $6.6 billion during the 3 months ended June 30th. A lot of people eating cookies and crackers, it looks like. And on the opposite end of that spectrum, Teladoc Health, shares of Teladoc Health dropped more than 7% despite better than expected quarterly revenue. The virtual healthcare company reported revenue of $503 million, while analysts expected $501 million, according to Refinitiv. Next, we have AMD, Advanced Micro Devices. The semiconductor stock edged 1.1% higher after the company reported earnings of 63 cents per share, 9 cents higher than what analysts polled by Refinitiv expected. AMD also posted revenue of $3.85 billion, beating a forecast of $3.62 billion. The chipmaker issued strong third quarter revenue guidance and raised its full year revenue guidance as well. All right. Before we get into the big earnings reports, let's cover Visa. The payments processor reported revenues of $6.13 billion during the 3 months ended June 30th, above the $5.88 billion analysts polled by Refinitiv had expected. It also posted adjusted per share earnings of $1.49, beating the $1.35 per share forecast by Refinitiv. Visa shares fell 2.2% in extended trading following the company's earnings report. All right, we're going to cover Google first. Alphabet had earnings per share of $27.26 versus $19.34 per share. Absolutely blowing out EPS expectations there. Revenue was a massive blowout as well, $61.88 billion versus $56.16 billion. As well, we had YouTube of advertising revenue, $7 billion versus $6.37 billion expected. Google Cloud revenues were up as well, $4.6 billion versus $4.4 billion expected. And then traffic acquisition costs, $10.93 billion versus $9.73 billion expected. So massive gains there for Google and Alphabet. Total Google ad revenue, look at this, was up 69% from the year ago quarter, $50.44 billion in Google ad revenue. Craziness from Google there. And then Google Cloud brought in $4.63 billion as well, up from $3 billion a year ago. Google after hours is up 3.3%. So massive gains there for Google after being down slightly today. All right, let's move over to Microsoft. We have Microsoft shares falling as much as 3% in extended trading on Tuesday after the software and hardware company reported fiscal fourth quarter earnings. Earnings were $2.17 per share, adjusted versus $1.92 per share as expected by analysts. Revenues were also a beat, $46.15 billion versus $44.24 billion as expected by analysts. Revenues rose 21% year over year in the quarter, which ended June 30th, according to a statement. In the previous quarter, revenue had increased by 19%, so they're consistently growing their revenue. Pretty good stuff. The productivity and business process units, which contain office productivity software along with LinkedIn and Dynamics, contributed $14.69 billion in revenue, up 25% year over year there. Microsoft's more personal computing segment, which features Windows as well as devices, gaming, and search advertising, generated $14.09 billion in revenue. That's up 9% from a year ago. Technology industry research company Gartner estimated that PC shipments grew 4.6% in the quarter. Microsoft's revenue from device makers for Windows licenses in the quarter fell 3%, and that could be one of the major reasons they were down. Microsoft is down still 2.8% after hours, but this does come with a strong buy based on 23 analyst ratings with an average upside of about 7.5%. All right, now Apple. Look at these crazy numbers. Every one of Apple's major product lines grew over 12% on an annual basis. And for the largest company in the world, 12% growth is crazy. Apple's sales were up 36% from June quarter last year. iPhone sales increased nearly 50% on an annual basis. EPS beat $1.30 versus $1.01. Revenue $81.41 billion versus $73.3 billion. Massive beat there. iPhone revenue, like we said, was up 50%. Revenue overall was up 36% year over year. Service revenue up 33%. Other products revenue up 40%. Mac revenue 16%. iPad revenue 12%. And gross margins were even up a couple percentage points here to 43%. Crazy earnings. One of the greatest earnings reports I've ever seen personally, and they're down 2.5%. What is going on, people? Might be a good buying opportunity for Apple. This comes in with a strong buy based on 22 analyst ratings with an average upside now of right around 12% for the next 12 months. So crazy news today. Guys, thank you so much for joining me for After the Bell. I appreciate each and every single one of you. I hope that you got some value out of this. If you did, go ahead and hit that like button. I would appreciate that. And comment down below anything you want to comment, even if it's just to say hi. I would love to hear from you. Seriously, thank you so much. I'll see you tomorrow.